Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 12th, 2014 Selectmen meeting. Tonight, we have a number of items on the agenda, so we'll just go right into our agenda. Is there anyone here for, community grant? First of all, the Green Community Grant application we had win. I believe we got $160,913, thanks to Paul. And the items that are going to be listed for funding is $99,940 for wastewater treatment plant, makeup air unit replacement, $16,162 for highway garage weatherization, $5,053 Smith Academy replace refrigeration controls, $30,827 for Smith Academy, the VFDs, $4,762 for the Hatfield Elementary School replacement refrigeration controls, and $4,169 for the Hatfield Elementary School weatherization. And this was a share given to us, a grant given to us, and by the Department of Energy Resources we applied for. And Paul, thanks again for doing all the work and getting that done.
Got a couple more.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Tax collector, Ms. Marie Shimura, has resigned effective this month and will take a position in Chatham in September. Ms. G. Louise Slish, have we worked the contract?
Pardon me?
Have we worked the contract with Mrs. Slish as yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay, well, we have someone identified for the first month, but the town administrator has out a vacancy announcement. Applications are due 21 August. The start date would be the 15th of September, and employment would continue through May of 2015. Second item, we have two committee vacancies, one on the Energy Committee and one at-large position on the Emergency Management Committee. That was it.
Any other announcements, Brian?
No.
Thank you very much. Public forum, anyone here for public forum? Yes. Right up to the king.
Yeah, I'm just here for a couple minutes, I hope. The reason I'm here is I received two phone calls. I'm not mentioning names. They asked me if I watched your last meeting, whenever that was. I turned it on and I watched it. They told me to watch a couple of little things that went on. And one that I believe they're concerned about, I know I am, is the Jericho Road project, or not project, but the house that's being built there now. We went through this for 2 years, okay? Mr. Boyle had to stay out of it, right? Which I commend him for staying out of it. So basically it was you and I that were going through. You were on vacation down in Florida. I called the attorney because somebody came to me about wanting to build over there, and I know you were saying that he can't build there because it's got to be a 50-foot wide road, and I said, I've never heard of such a thing in town. My road, Depot Road, is 24 feet wide. That's from edge to edge of pavement. I've never heard of 50 feet. But what I'm getting at is the town attorney sent me information, says no, that is a town road. The town has to maintain it. It doesn't have to be widened. The only time anything's got to be widened if it's a development, a new development coming in. That's the only time. It can remain the existing width, however, it does have to be maintained, which we all agreed to as before I left the board, or I thought we agreed to. Now I understand there's somebody building a house up there, and Ed, you came out and basically stated in your last meeting that the actually retired building inspector and zoning officer shouldn't have given out that permit. Right. And that shouldn't be, I mean, you shouldn't say things like that. If you go through and read everything in that, these are the zoning laws. This is what we go by. This is what the building inspector should be going by. Not Ed Leschko saying, don't build there. I mean, it does get a little upsetting because I thought we had this all solved, settled, and everything else. And again, it was just you and I that could say anything about it. And Phil would, he'd say, well, it's gonna cost money. Well, I understand it's gonna cost like $6,000. I mean, what you're making in taxes on those eventually 3 houses will make that up well within a year.
So what's your issue?
Well, my issue is you don't go on camera knocking somebody down because basically that's what you did, okay? Without knowing or realizing the information. The information's there. We've been over it. Why do you insist on knocking town employees down? You shouldn't be doing that. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not going to get into that.
Well, you can,
Thank you.
but you should be apologizing to them. Thank you.
Any other public forum? If not, we're going to move right into the minutes.
Motion to approve the 8 July Board of Selectmen minutes, and as well as the joint meeting with the Finance Committee, subject to a couple of small edits. On the first page, on the DPW Director Report, third column, there's, just for clarification, since this is not a direct quote anyway, but the line omits the fact that it's an added expense. Chairman Lesko explained the original project for Selectman Moriarty, saying the additional $400,000 is for going under 91. It's an added expense for going under 91, just a clarification. And then in the next paragraph, it just lacks what we're talking about. It just starts off with a conversation with Mrs. Donaldson. I assume that's reference a water bill on Elm Street, or, okay, so reference, it should,
Route 5, yeah, right at the end of Chestnut.
so it should state what there should be a statement in front of there, what it's for. It makes no sense
What you're
standing
saying, it
alone.
should say reference to
House on
water-
Chestnut Street?
the water bill
On Route 5.
on Route 5.
That was it.
Okay. Anything else?
Oh, there's one other thing. We took a vote, I'm sorry, the last page, and maybe the Finance Committee, after, this goes snow and ice. First, the Board of Selectmen determined the amount for snow and ice repair. And how can I say this? There's a vote missing where we declared how much money we were short, that we wanted the Finance Committee to then approve.
On the counter retirement part?
It's on the last page. You read off the overages, a total of $53,418, and then we had some discussion. The Finance Committee voted the transfer of funds, but it doesn't reflect where the Board of Selectmen ever voted the transfer of funds. See where it says Mr. Berry moved to transfer funds as submitted?
Right, but it was up to the Finance Committee to transfer the funds, not up to us. We bring it to their attention. And they're the ones that transfer the funds from their account over,
Well,
right?
we do it with their approval. Well, if no one else sees an issue, let it go.
All right, if we need to correct it, we'll correct it at
Okay.
another time. Other than that, any other
No.
corrections?
No, I'll second the motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Not. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. DPW report, Mass Works grant. What's going on there, Phil?
Well, on
Give
our,
us an update.
I'll give you the update of the brief discussion I've had with Mike Ohl is that we are submitting 3 Mass Work grants. One will be for Route 5 project, as always, for the infrastructure. The other one will include the $400,000. We were led in that direction to at least apply in a Mass Works grant. So if nothing becomes of the letter that was sent to Representative Colcott, then that's the route we'll take. And the third grant going in is going to be for, used to be the STRAP program for the small towns, under $7,000 population. We're going to apply for the grants for the sidewalks. It seems like there's a need, and that's one revenue funding source that we're going to go after. So that's about it until we,
Well, they're all due the month of August, so when are we going to see them?
hopefully soon. I know that Mike and I, before I left on vacation, walked the
Okay.
Main Street corridor about the sidewalks, and he thinks that it's a very viable project with the school interaction, with the elderly population. So that he thinks that, it's a very viable project.
So they're looking at Main Street and North
Main
Street,
Street to start.
North and King? Okay,
Yes,
so it's the whole section in there?
Right.
Well, you don't want to do north because we're going to tear it up
Yeah,
with a
we're
sewer
not gonna do
project.
North. North is out until we decide what we're gonna do with the water sewer project there. But
Okay,
it will be Main Street for sure.
okay. Anything else?
And including in the grant will be the center school, what the committee has done so far. That's part of the grant process, so you might be looking for a little information.
Want to give us an update on the water line?
Tony's here if you wanna ask him, he's been up there daily, so.
Currently, we have installed and tested over 9,000 feet of 16-inch water main. It's all the way up to Chestnut Street, and it's live at this current state. There's 2 properties that were transferred over to the new water main today. We're awaiting bacteria sampling for about a 300-foot section on the old West Street area, so that Musterka's house and that little corner house there can be transferred over, and will be 100%. Route 5 is being supplied by the new 16-inch water main already currently, the 6-inch that was there. We did pull out a section that had the date in it, and the date on the water main was 1897. It was an interesting piece to see. Everything's going good. They are going to start with cleanup operations later this week, if not the beginning of next week. With the anticipated rain, that's gonna just make cleaning things up there pretty difficult. So, we expect they should be done entirely within a month.
Did you run into any problems up there with the pipe testing or anything like that?
No, all the pressure tests came out absolutely perfect. A couple of bacteria samples came back bad. It was kinda hit or miss. A rainy day, it could have been, contaminated it, who knows? But,
They
and
retest
some
it?
retesting and it come back fine.
Good.
There was an incredible amount of rock. I mean, everybody can see the pile down on Route 5. That's just a very, very small portion of what they encountered up there. Some areas it was extremely tight digging, but they managed to get it in and do a very nice job. I believe it's gonna last a long time, especially seeing the pipe that come out of the ground on Route 5 in the good shape that it was in. I think we made a good choice.
Okay, and that was all ductile iron?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, thanks, Tony.
Before you
Thank-
Yep.
go,
Yeah.
you want to handle this contract award? while Tony's there, in case anybody has any questions.
Sure.
I move to approve award of the furnace emergency generator contract for the West Hatfield well to Kingsley Power Systems with a bid price of $20,945.
Motion been made, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Have any comment or anything? Or?
No, we're long overdue for that generator.
Yeah.
It's been in the works for quite a while with trying to get engineers to figure out exact power needs. Ever since that October 11th storm, that proved to absolutely be a necessity to have that generator, so.
It can run out by natural gas out there?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
good.
propane, sorry. It'd be way too
Expensive.
costly to run gas from Route 5 all the way across that field.
Yeah.
Right, I wasn't sure what you were gonna do there. Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you have, a 500-gallon tank?
Yeah, the concrete pad's already currently there. It's a matter of getting the generator delivered, Osterman propane to come deliver the tank, hook it up, and the electricians will finish the install. That work for us, just because we've got some intricate equipment and don't want anything broken in there. So, all right,
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Phil, do you have anything else for us?
Discuss.
I just passed you the response that I gave to Representative Cocott this afternoon concerning his questions about going underneath Interstate 91 with a transmission line versus waiting on and the repair of the utility bay on Chestnut Street. And it's there for you to read. It's just a package with some specific information he asked about cost. One thing that I was a little concerned about, he seemed to be suggesting, as we were talking about earlier, that there's an option of the two right now as though they're both evenly on the table. They're not. I mean, we've already committed funds for the design and permitting and everything else to go underneath, and that is a preferred option for us. It could occur far more quickly than waiting on the state DOT to put out to bid a repair on the utility bay and get that contract awarded, get it executed, and then us re-permitting. So we clearly stated our preference, and Tony's here, he can speak to that. Our preference is to go underneath Interstate 91. Makes a lot of sense, and we're ready to very shortly be ready to execute the contracts to make that happen.
it'd just be a real good long-term, maintenance thing, that if anything ever happened, it would be very easy. You remove the old pipe, slide the new one in, and you're finished.
Right. Okay.
That was all.
Good, thank you. Anything else, Phil? Okay, thank you very much. We'll go on to posted business. Center School Committee. John, you're on. Okay, the last time we all met, you guys wanted to meet with us.
Right. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend the presentation, but I was provided the draft ahead of time. So, and I asked before we even had that meeting that we'd have another meeting with you after the consultant as architect's presentation. It's a lot to digest. It's a 168-page report. I've gone over it twice now, and the committee themselves. It's been a 2-year process for us. I remember coming here about 2 years ago saying, I think we should do something about time, kind of representing the housing authority at the time, shooting for some, expanded housing. Well, it got a little bit more complicated than that when we were able to secure a grant from DHCD for, so it didn't cost the town directly anything for having a consultant come in and update the project. So based upon what they, found and, the amount of work they put in, which I have to compliment the architect firm. We were a little leery. We had 7 architects, bid on it, and we went with the local firm. It was kind of a new firm put together recently, and I think they did an outstanding job. They did their work. They did their homework and I think we got a pretty good bargain for the amount of money we actually did spend on it. But we're back. It's kind of we've gone full circle. Now we're back to making a decision what to do with the property. And we've had discussions among the board, and we supplied you with a letter on the same day that the architects made the presentation, and we were unanimous in our choice of what we'd like to see done with that building, and hopefully the town meeting will go along with it. It still has to go back to town meeting for the whole project, and there's really only two things we found you can do. We've kind of ruled out any kind of commercial development or business development downtown. There wasn't any, what we want to say, keen interest to do it, and the only thing we probably could put in there is housing units. And we've come up with a recommendation that that 40 units of housing be put on the property, and that the town would sell the property. That's our number one recommendation. Secondly, the only other recommendation we discussed and we came to a conclusion is to demolish the building and keep it open space. So it's kind of a decision the town's going to make, either what's more important, the building or the property. It boils down to that. That's where we are.
Okay. Just so you guys know, we're talking about having a fall town meeting.
Okay.
And putting this on the agenda. Okay, and addressing it then.
Right. In our letter to the board, we outlined a process that we'd hope that the board would follow. And if the town does decide to sell the property, we recommended that deed restrictions be put on it. And another committee would be formed to prepare an RFP for the proposal. And we still have the right to reject any proposals that come in at that point in time for sale. And I've talked to Linda recently. If you're familiar with East Hampton Parsons School, the town of East Hampton is recommending they're selling their school. It's a similar sized school to our school over here, and they're recommending to sell it outright and have a developer come in and submit proposals for what they want to do. They prefer some type of housing also there. So, but my vision when I first started, I was very pro housing. And, you know, we've had a lot of discussions on what type of housing might go in there. Early on, we were thinking graduate students. We've talked to different, you know, people about it, and the consultants went out and asked. We're just too far away from the schools, like the graduate schools, to have that housing there. But we feel there should be a mixed housing situation down there, and we're recommending that accessible housing be provided. Now, I'm not in the contract stage or in the contract field, but accessible housing means it's not to be fully handicap accessible, but it's what was it? Handicap.
It's called universal design.
Right.
Which means it's easily converted to a full handicap requirements as far as access and the living spaces are convertible. Although a certain percentage of them would be handicap accessible from the beginning. I think I recommend, I think 5% is a government mandated level or something like that. And then another 5% would be universal design, so that they're easily converted for elderly or something like that. So.
I don't think you'll see the property sold. I think there was a lot of people against selling the property, so.
Well, you got to let it go, Ed. You got to let the town decide what they want to do with it.
That's what I'm saying.
We've been very stagnant on this
It'll
property.
be on the agenda.
Very stagnant.
Let people decide what they want to do.
It's going to cost them money to tear it down if they want to have a big.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and if they want development, if they want to see some kind of vitalization done or revitalization, whatever you want to call it, you know, the board did the best we could with the resources we
Good job.
had. And
We also asked several developers in the area for their input, and none of them were conducive to leasing the land. Either they own it or they don't. They don't want to get into a lease program. They don't even care if it's 99 years, you know, because when they invest that kind of money, they want to own it, sell it when they want to sell it or whatever. So.
Joe?
Yeah, and the thing I was writing up here. Over the last few years, I've watched and listened to all the time everybody's spent on this building. And now you've called a group together to see what's the best use from a lot of areas with the restrictions that are put upon you, and that's not too easy to do. But the idea of 40 apartments, it's going to eventually involve state grants and some other funding sources, which are going to involve subsidized units. Well, based on factual history everywhere, there will be issues that the DPW will need to address, like bed springs and mattresses and somebody's trash over the dike, or a recliner. The police will need to add another officer due to issues we can all imagine arising. I'm just using examples here that Northampton deals with continuously. I'm certainly not trying to sound stodgy or snobby here, but this is our town. And we, like our forebears, need to constantly protect it. We wish the perception was different, but the reality is there. Many years ago, there was a homeowner that needed a variance to put in a home next door for a family or for some reason. Well, the town went on to consider reducing the 200-foot frontage to 100 feet all over town. Now, that could have added a doubling of homes and a whole lot more tax revenue. However, the leaders at that time realized the effect and the impact on such a move. Now, the realtors and the developers, they love the opportunity. However, common sense prevailed, and our town once again was protected from becoming spot developed. There was consideration of putting a bridge in across to Hadley to help with congestion. The impact would have been overwhelming. Well, again, common sense prevailed, and our town was protected again. Our charm was safe. Certainly, we're not Old Deerfield, but generations have worked hard to preserve this town. You had a UMass study group come in for many community meetings to understand citizens' needs and wants. Open space, quality of life, and river access was quite important. So since then, you as selectmen helped create the Terry Blunt Preservation Area, well appreciated. Your prior boards created the boat launch. Some thought it was a waste, and yet try to go there on weekends and it's crowded, so it's truly a success. When people drive through Hatfield, they fall in love with its beauty and charm. Now, not everyone can live right here in town center, but this is our signature part of our town. They choose to move here and be part of such a place. When I think of our greatest assets, first I think of our citizens. Second, I think of our main corridor through town. And third, and least appreciated, is our river, one of the most scenic in the world, and yet so few have access. It used to be the lifeblood of all towns on its banks, and yet it was taken for granted. 25 years ago, it was an embarrassment due to sanitary runoff. Well, today it's very clean and loved and enjoyed by a new generation that so appreciates it. However, most must go over private property to enjoy it, and most cannot. So why would we continue to block and hide this asset? As far as the structure goes, yeah, the words tearing it down seems so wrong. Dismantling it shows the respect it deserves. There are companies that would reuse slates, the bricks, and the cornerstones, so it might have another life, recycle and reuse. If the building should have been saved, it was the old SA. That served generations. This building served many, but due to a closure, few here still have the same connection as to the old Smith Academy. Great leaders do what's right, not what is most profitable. Do we go the way of a business and just do it for the money? You make decisions based on the overall health and happiness and the welfare of our town and its people in a respectful and well thought out way. We hope you continue this and not go the way of urban sprawl just for the short term of a gain on a tax roll. Well, this is one of those opportunities. Imagine looking out from Town Hall or driving by and seeing that this town has a commitment to quality of life, an open greenway, some playing fields, and maybe at the far end, a cleared dike area with benches and a few picnic tables for families and our seniors to walk out and sit and enjoy the river or watch a game. Maybe even see some of the boating and water recreation that we can usually hear but can rarely see. In the fall or spring, be able to see hundreds, if not thousands, of migrating geese, nature at its best, right here to be open to all. Many of us remember the block parties we used to have. They were so enjoyed. Or once in a while, a town-wide bonfire. This could be a return to some of those, just as a couple of examples. A place to further bring community together. Our school band could put on some performances. Imagine how easy access could be for all. Now, all over this country right now, cities and towns are understanding the quality of life and the value of having a beautiful open waterway. This opportunity will not arise again in our town's history. We have it right here and right now. Sure, this building served a generation, but this river has served for all time this town. So I'm just asking, open the space up and celebrate it. Thank you. I say this here because whatever you do when it goes to town meeting, as moderator, I will not have an opinion. I've never gotten that in the way, and at town meeting, I'm limited, I won't be able to say anything. So I hope at least this carries a little bit of weight of speaking to you in this manner. So, thank you. And I did leave a copy for each of them. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
Can I say something about the river access? Part of the plan was to sell the entire parcel, but the back 2 acres that abut the river would be owned by the person developing, but it would remain a passive recreation area with, and the road going down to the dike would give folks access to that passive recreation. Say passive because there's not gonna be swings and jungle gyms and all that sort of thing. There would be the walking path or the bench or the, you know, the mowed area where people could just go and enjoy the river.
Yeah, I mean, part of the recommendation was that the Dyke Road, you know, sell the entire property, but there'd be a right-of-way easement along the Dyke Road, and then the back 2 point whatever acres
There's a couple acres.
would have a conservation restriction on it, and it'd be open for public, for use of any kind. So just to clear the air.
I have some of the many feelings that Joe expressed, though, but I'd like to ask Joe, did you read the whole report?
I watched, I did
No,
not
did
read
you-
their whole report. I watched
Yeah, it's
both
not-
of their proposals they gave in full. I didn't speak past them.
Oh, okay.
And I watched their proposals, but it tends to be like, drive around various projects in Northampton and other areas, and it tends to be a block where people tend to not want to go behind it. And this is your town center. I mean, look, in the next 25 years, most of us are gonna, maybe, hopefully not, but not even be here. So this is for the next generation, this is for the future generations, and I tend to think you've done such a great job on Town Hall, and you think looking across, you'd see a beautiful greenway, you'd see it open, you could have people from Capewalk and seniors who park here and go walking around. They could at least go and see the river, not be intimidated about going behind buildings and a whole housing thing with 40 units in it. It just seems we're giving up one of our greatest assets for the sake of putting in apartments, like 40 apartments and parking lots, and fill it up for not that great of a return as far as tax revenue goes.
Any other comments?
And I just want to say, I know most people don't understand that according to state rules, you're so limited. You know, you had the regional library there, and everybody thought, we'll rent it out. Well, you can't. The only thing you could do was the library. And now to do the next step with it, with leasing it out, you're still shackled as to how open your choices are. So, you know, I tend to not use the word tear it down because people look at that as extremely disrespectful from something that they had some memories at. But, you know, dismantle it, remove it. It's gonna be too costly for the town to renovate, that's for sure.
There's probably $100,000 worth of steel in that building.
Yeah. I mean, look, even when, God, when Chucky took my barn down years ago, you know, I said, I wanna take the barn down, but without it costing a lot. He found a guy in Vermont that wanted the slate. He paid him enough for the slate, he paid the full barn to come down. So there are things that happen like that quite easily.
Right. Also, you know, the committee took that, you know, the total property under consideration, and, you know, also the facts that were presented to us by the consultants, that the 12 units or 8 to 12 units that could go in the old building for $4 million, the town would not accept a $4 million project for, you know, 8 or 12 units, okay? Like Buster had said, it says the developers, you know, contacted various people in the industry, and they said that you gotta go at least 40 units to make it profitable. That would be a $12 million project for somebody building, you know, down there, okay? Purpose of our grant was, we were awarded the money under the federal jobs programs, and that's where the money came from for this study that was done. You know, Pioneer Valley was helping us through the whole process, Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. So, you know, again, we had a lot of tough choices and decisions to make, and our, you know, it was a unanimous vote on the committee to go with redeveloping the building and adding another 28 units, restricting it to another 28 units behind it. So
It was a unanimous vote after a lot of discussion,
Right.
because there were, I don't know how many members
Six,
we had,
yeah.
8 members, and there were 6 or 7 directions people wanted to head in. And once the report came in and we talked to the consultants, and everybody kind of saw the light that this was after they did their economic studies and their demographics and all that sort of thing, it became obvious that this was going to be the highest and best use for that property in lieu of dismantling it.
But they did not take into consideration the cost that it would be with the amount of children that were in there. If you put 40 units and you end up with 40 kids, you're looking at $10,000 per
Ed,
kid, that's
you know,
$400,000 a year, you're never gonna get that much in taxes.
you don't know if you're gonna get any kids there.
May not.
You know, one of the recommendations, or one of my hopes was, you know, for elderly couples to come there with you know, somebody's taking care of a handicapped kid, or somebody taking care of a elderly parent. You know, they could be 70 years old, taking care of a 90-year-old mother.
Sure.
You know, and it would be a great unit. We don't have that over at the Housing Authority. We don't have that throughout the whole town. You know, we've got to start somewhere with housing.
If it was elderly housing, that's one
You
thing.
know, we've got to start somewhere with housing. We can't keep throwing everybody up on West Street and, you know, some of the outlying sections.
We hear you.
People downtown have to start thinking, well, it's nice to have a downtown center and everything, but, you know, we can't live in a fishbowl for generations and generations and generations. So we've got to start thinking about, you know, got to start somewhere. You know, every field that's from Elm Street down is being filled with housing now.
Right.
You know, maybe this is the last one, but this type of housing is being put in is not for, you know, somebody on limited income. I'm not saying low income, but limited income, taking care, you know, like elderly, taking care of an elderly parent or a kid. We have to provide some type of, you know, units in this town we have a huge elderly population. We've had the CPA did a study, and also, you know, our architects, consultants did a study. You know, most of these people in this town are elderly now.
Sure.
And a lot of them some are getting to the point where they can't afford their homes. This might be an opportunity where they could go, stay in town, to go to some of these units.
So when you put up something like that and it's subsidized by a lot of different grants coming out, federal or state, you can't dictate that this is just gonna help the elderly of our town, or you can't dictate who can come and who can go.
You're right.
You're right.
And this is going to so heavily change the weight of our town center. And I think it's wonderful that you had these guys go through such an extensive look. I think most people would have loved people to at least have that same respect for the old Smith Academy building, but they didn't. They just tore it down. And that still resonates in many people's minds. But with the limits you have on the available uses to this building, it's probably gonna come down, do people want to develop it, or do people want it removed?
Well, that's,
And whatever they choose, certainly that 40 apartments is gonna change a whole lot of what people see in their town center.
Town meeting will dictate what happens on that parcel.
2 things. Did you check the contract we signed?
Mhm.
And what does it say we're required to do with the findings?
What the town of Hatfield was required to do was to hire a consultant to assess the building and to do a marketing study,
That we fulfilled.
which
thought-
has been completed. Yeah, that was our
And
commitment.
there's nothing in there about dealing with the results?
Nothing.
I'm surprised.
you're speaking about the architects?
No, with the contract for our grant. Our grant.
I think we fulfilled all the requirements of the grant
Yeah.
already.
Oh, yeah, yeah, they are.
Is,
The scope of the project was to do a study,
Right,
period.
but also Pioneer Valley's still working with us, you know, and they've, you know, Jim Mazik already told us he would work with us, or whatever committees together, or put together, if the town does vote, to put the RFP together. He's done it with other communities, you know, put what restrictions we'd want on the property, what specific access we would want, where, you know, what, any restrictions we want to put on the building, or the type of housing we want to go in there. We can do that prior to putting out the RFP. But, you know, the decision's got to be made whether we're going to sell the property,
Understand.
or we're going to.
So the next,
you know,
step is
Right.
go or no go.
Town meeting.
And in light of that, would the committee be willing to stay on, and you think it reasonable that you host an open or public forum concerning the school and represent essentially the findings of the committee and take questions and?
I think we need to educate the public as to what the study showed
Well, that's exactly
in
right.
order for them to make an informed decision on town meeting floor.
But if you do that, can you make a proposal about both options?
Oh, I think that needs to be, I think, in my opinion,
Well, I thought when you originally gave us your comments here, you were offering two things, either
Right.
this or tear it
That's-
down.
well, that's the alternative,
Yeah.
is if it's not sold and developed, the alternative is to dismantle it.
Take it down.
Take it down.
Take it down, dismantle
But
it.
if you have maps and all your drawings that was made up by this grant showing what it would look like.
Yes.
Yes.
Is it possible to have a rather simple but map and drawing to show what it could look like if the building was gone?
Well, I don't know if we
Well,
have
no,
any money
there- no,
left for
that-
that.
No, it's a,
But there is, in the report itself, there is parcels where, you know, they're showing with the parcel, you know, with buildings on the parcel and without buildings on the parcel. If you read the whole 168-page report.
So,
I believe it's online, correct? Louise mentioned it to me today, and I thought it was put on the website.
oh, yeah, that's right, I'm sorry, yeah, yeah.
It is on the town
Yeah,
website,
yeah.
so.
getting back to
Well, I
town
would,
meeting,
I would propose, if we've targeted the 21st of October for a special town meeting, and this would be one topic, and we have to frame up respective articles, but I propose that the committee engage and sponsor and conduct kind of a orientation program or a presentation concerning Center School and the study. Here's what we looked at, kind of the results. Here are the proposals that you'll be looking at on the 21st of
So I
October.
have just a curiosity, is your committee not charged or expected, I'm missing the word here, but is your committee one to sort of sell and promote this study you did, or is your committee to,
It's the
Openly give the
recommendation from the
town-
architect.
right, but are you selling the architect's recommendation, or are you saying to the town, here's two choices?
That's what we're selling.
And we're gonna be as impartial as we can, but here's the two choices.
I would have to
Well,
say, I agree with you,
John, hold
Joe.
on a second, Bob was talking before.
yeah, again, getting all the way back to town meeting, I think we need to give them both choices. You know, Article 1 is to allow the selectmen to,
Sell.
or the committee, sell to its private developer for 40 units of housing or whatever comes in and is acceptable to the town, because
Yeah.
there's gonna be another committee that's gonna say, this guy is acceptable and this one is not, and we throw it. And then Article 2 would be, if Article 1 doesn't pass, then Article 2 is to dismantle the building before it falls down on somebody, because it's falling down now.
But when you put those two articles separately that way, then if they vote the first one, the second one's null and void.
Right,
Right.
right.
But if you put the other one first, then there's a second one null, so it becomes heavyweighted.
Well, that's
That's how town
what
meeting
we
goes.
pay the attorneys for, you know.
Right, but that's how town meeting goes, and it depends which one is voted on first, you know that. I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
yeah.
So that's a decision on you guys. How do you propose the question so that you're finding out where people stand on either or? Not vote for one and then the second one is null
Well,
and void.
that's where the educational meeting, because I'm sure folks watched the Reader's Digest version that the consultant presented here. back in June, but again, it was the Reader's Digest version, and it's 168 pages long.
Right.
And if we put together a public informational meeting with the graphics and a PowerPoint presentation, and then folks can ask their own questions. I mean, they may have watched it at home on television, but they can't ask the question that they want answered on the project. And again, the committee's recommendation, after a lot of discussion and a lot of folks changed their mind and went with what the consultant recommended, that's our recommendations, to sell the property, to develop for 40 units. And as John said, the developers don't want a project any smaller than 40 units because it's not economically feasible for them.
Well, also, getting back, the restriction, you know, everybody's afraid of low-income housing is going to spoil our community. You know, we shouldn't go around saying that as public officials. We want a diverse population, but also there's opportunities here for different types of housing, you know, veterans housing. You could have so many units of veterans housing, so many units of elderly family, you know, a family, more than one bedroom, you know, 300 square feet if you have it over, like we have it over there, next door. There's other opportunities, and they would be they won't be condos like up on Elm Street. These will be apartments available by the developer. There's restrictions we could put on it. You know, size and, you know, anything we want to do, just about basically to get the you know, thing developed.
Within the law.
Within the law.
Within the law, yeah.
Of course, always.
Okay.
Can I just make one comment?
ahead.
I just want to make sure that the public is truly informed on both sides. So going back to Joe's point, I think the presentation from your group is very important, obviously, with all the work and time you put into it. But I think it needs to be presented with, here's the recommendation of the committee, here's a recommendation for the use, and if we don't do this, then here's what this might look like. Not just we're taking a building down and leaving it flat. I mean, I think it sort of has to be apples and apples, and not apples and oranges when people go in to make their decision. And I'm not sure what the avenue is for that second part.
Because you can sugarcoat a story either way, heavily outweighing one or the other,
Well,
depending on.
you won't be prepared to commit to an outcome because we haven't got a package before town meeting to do something with that area for recreation.
Well,
or
that's
some
my
other
point.
purpose.
We need to get moving on getting one. I mean, whether
Or
it's
do you
the
have
open.
to do it in October, and can you do it at annual? I mean, you don't get very many people that come to a midterm town meeting.
Well, the whole purpose of October was to get this off the table. This has been an issue that's been going along for years, 7 years at least, or if not more.
Yeah, longer.
I mean, it's simply time to bring it to a head, and I don't think another 6 months from October to May or whatever that is would help anything or better inform.
No, the only thing you do is you get a different quantity of people showing at the town meeting. And I find it hard at town meeting, I mean, with 3,000 people, you end up with 100 people at town meeting. And all it takes is 30 or 40 people to vote something. So now you've got the smallest minority in this town voting everything, all the stuff you guys propose. And it's kind of saddening at times to see all the work you've done, and it takes the vote of 30 or 40 people to pass or fail anything. Just not.
We also
Don't
talked
care
about
unless
putting
it's in
on
your
the ballot,
backyard.
on the warrant with the tax collector position, something like that. That's going to go in there. So that should bring.
You don't have an easy thing to how to present it in an unbiased way and let people truly make an informed choice. It's not an easy way to do it.
And you don't know what a developer is going to, responding to the proposal is going to give you either at this point in time.
Public forum would be a way to get out to the people. And that,
When you deal with somebody able to put in $20 or $30 million on a project like this, you know, that's what happens with a lot of little towns. You get a huge financial entity coming in, And none of us are used to dealing with something with that many zeros, and though there are that number of lawyers. So you get a lot of small towns that kind of find out later on, we didn't think of this and we didn't think of that.
Okay, I think we've
Well,
beat this to death here.
No, this is important to get it.
But we'll,
I would move that we charge the committee with setting up and executing a public information forum regarding options for the center school property based on the report that they developed. And have that completed prior to a potential 21
Right.
October
Yeah,
But how do we do the other side?
special town meeting.
Well, yeah, I agree that we can handle that, but I don't think we're prepared to handle somebody coming in with totally different ideas and proposals. You know what I'm saying? Somebody comes up with, like Joe brought up, $50 million, I can build something there for $50 million at this time. I'm not prepared to
No,
handle
I
that
understand.
on this
Well, we've got
committee.
2 or 3
No,
options,
right.
period.
We're talking about your report.
Right.
Yeah.
No problem, working, trying to go through the.
So we're gonna be doing our report.
Yeah.
How do we do what Joe's asking? Because he's asking us to,
Or I'm asking
Well, the
them.
report talks about the condition of the building.
I understand that,
And-
but if the building was taken down and it was just put grass there for now or
Open space,
whatever.
right.
Open space, who's,
Where do people get to see that idea?
well, that's what I'm
It doesn't-
saying.
I don't recall seeing
Yeah,
that graphic in
I
the
don't think-
report, but
That's not in the
It's
It's not your
report.
committee's chart,
No,
right, but.
I guess,
So-
I guess we take a picture and Photoshop grass
There you
where the
go.
building is.
No, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they would do.
But there
That's
is a
what they
rec-
would do, yeah.
There is an estimate in the report, it would, at a minimum, $260,000 to take the building down and remove the, hazardous material that's in the building. That would be the minimum the town would have to absorb by removing it. And that's not including any, probably grading and seeding and whatever else they want to put in their parkland or whatever.
But what would it cost the town to buy a piece of property like that?
Probably-
More than $260,000.
Sure.
Couple million in that location.
Yeah, if the opportunity ever arose.
Okay,
So this committee has been together for 2 years, roughly now?
No,
almost.
Almost 2 years. And we're basically getting the final presentation. I mean, I know we had it last month, but now, and we're looking
We
to
started-
potentially
We
have,
started actually, no, it's gonna be, it's not 2 years.
Well, a year
October, we went out with the RFPs.
RFP, but we were organized.
the whole
before.
process. My point being this, we've had a committee that's been working very hard for the last 2 years to come up with a couple of options. And we're thinking currently to be able to make the presentations, whether it's dismantled or with the housing, and get that out to the public to make informed decisions in a 2-month timeframe. And I'm sitting here now, and I know this isn't for you, I'm just throwing it out for my colleagues, that I would like to see more information probably before we just go in October. That's my own personal opinion, for a town meeting to make their decision, unless the pace picks up with an open space type of presentation available, so that people are seeing truly both, make an informed decision. That's all it is. And I'm not saying that you guys certainly are pushing anything in particular, but I think the information you have and that you've gained over the last 2 years, if there's other people that want to have the same type of information, if it were to become open space, should have some time to put that together as well. And then here's where we're at.
Right.
Sort of let the conversation begin.
It's not, to me, it sounds like it's starting now,
The-
quite
the-
frankly.
The
I
only
would-
risk of the dangers that you face there, the study was done, most of the information was gathered by the firm was in January, February of this
Right.
year. And, it's probably January through April this year. And you'll be more than a year out when you have your town meeting, the annual town meeting. So how accurate are the figures in the report a year from now? Think conditions change, so.
I think figures are less important than the visual
Well,
concept.
exactly.
If you know what I
Putting
mean.
out a town mailer with selling it and
Back to the vote.
open space. And send it out as a town mailer to all town residents and let them divulge themselves. And then, you know, be prepared at the October 21st meeting to,
See, they don't have to decide anything in October. They're not there to decide. They're just to get information on a proposal.
right,
Your best effort with contractor support, folks in the realty business,
right.
folks doing market analysis, folks doing the finance stuff. This is the best idea that folks could come up with. So
Okay.
you can let folks know that, and here's something that's going to be on the table for you.
Okay, Jeff's motion, hold on a second. Jeff's motion was to create a public forum on the whole issue and before town meeting. Okay, to inform the public.
Clarify whole issue
Wait,
though.
yeah.
Clarify whole issue now.
Yeah.
Are you looking for more alternatives than what's in the report?
Just what's in the report.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going just what's in the report.
Okay.
Your charge is gonna be 40-unit housing versus demolishing.
Well, there's
the
other
open space.
in the report, there could be more than 40 units if they want. There was other
Okay?
proposals that
That's
won't
what, I
fly.
believe that's what your intention
Well,
is, right?
whatever your
Their charge.
recommendation is, you had the report, and this
So
is,
there's been a
The key is
motion.
that you don't have to stem on 40 houses, eat 40 housing. If you put it out to sell, and a developer comes in with an RFP and says, geez, I like this property, I'll put commercial here and residential
Yeah.
in the back. It's up to the individual developer.
Sure.
The key is, are they gonna sell or not? That's the point.
Okay,
It
there's been a
doesn't have
motion.
to be, everybody keeps saying 40 units of housing. It doesn't have to be that.
It doesn't have to be that.
for a vote at that town meeting?
oh, yes,
Yes.
at the October.
To sell or
Because you
not.
have to undo
sell
the
or not.
vote that was taken
Yeah.
that said
Can't sell.
Right.
that you couldn't sell it.
Right.
So that has to be article number 1.
Okay, is there a second to Jeff's motion?
I don't even know what the motion was, or when it was.
Have the committee,
This
the
committee.
charge of the committee, this committee,
Yeah,
to hold a public forum to inform the public of the next step for that property. And the two steps that are involved are housing units or
open space.
open space.
Yep, there's
Those
I'll
are the
second
two
it.
options, okay?
Yep.
And that's their charge, to deal with the public forum and open discussion. No further than that.
They would do this before October 21st?
Yes.
Before October 21st
You're
meeting.
looking for October 21st for people to vote on something.
Yes.
So if you have a week before a town meeting, then at least they'd be informed, they'd be able to come and get information.
But you gotta be, I'm not sure how you're gonna word the voting, because if the first.
We're not either.
Yeah, because if the first article says vote for the units, then the second one is negated.
We'll come up with something, Joe.
Yeah.
All right, the motion, we have a motion, is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay, now further discussion.
I just want, the vote is to sell or not to sell. That is the question. That's all there is to it.
Right.
Now, you know, we can present, here's option A, here's option B, here's option C, here's option D. We're gonna put this thing out for an RFP. We have no idea what we're gonna get back.
Right.
They may come back with 20 units and
They may
and
come back
commercial,
with 10 unit,
or
or who
36
knows?
units, because that's
Yeah.
the developer's.
Yeah.
One at a time.
That's the crux of the matter.
Bob, you're on. You have any other comments?
No.
Okay. Buster, you have any other
I think
comments?
to answer Joe's thing is that there's not gonna be, do we demolish it? Yes. Do we sell it? Yes.
Exactly.
It's gonna be one vote,
Paul has-
either yes or no. That's it.
Paul put it right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not two, it's one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So you're gonna have,
Motion made.
I'm losing it here. You're gonna have one article on the warrant?
Well,
We'll
that's
decide that.
step two. We'll close on that
Just to,
with legal
I
and
think-
everyone.
if the decision is made not to sell, then, then it's a selectman's responsibility after that. I mean, town meeting may, we have talked about, to sell or not to sell, but then, to not sell, there's a price tag attached to that.
Yes.
So should we be asking for that amount of money, at the same time?
Good point.
But town meeting may also say, well, okay, no, we don't want to sell it, but we don't want to pony up the money now either. So it'll sit there for another few years.
Well, it falls down, the insurance will pay for it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Eventually,
Or it falls,
eventually the building inspector is gonna have to condemn it, and gonna have to pony up the money then.
Okay, I want to put this to bed. Motion been made and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Committee will be charged with that. You'll come up with a meeting date before the October 21st meeting. It can be September, mid-September, whatever you choose, and we'll be there with you. And do presentations for the public so they understand everything that's going on across the street, and hopefully they'll understand the whole thing. I mean, to get the people there, we could always put in that we put the quorum down to 10. That always gets people there. Okay?
Are you gonna lend us some of your money to put on this presentation, or what?
For coffee and donuts.
Coffee and donuts, or not coffee and donuts, but PowerPoints and program development, so.
I can ask as a committee, yes, you voted in favor of it based on what you were asked to do, but you're not, I guess I would look at it to say, how unbiased will you be? You're there to inform, but you're not there as the developer trying to sell it either. You're informing the people of, here's what our findings are, here's what came up to the surface, not, we gotta get this and we gotta do this because of all the following reasons. I mean,
No, we're presenting the
Report.
report that the consultant presented to us,
Right.
and we accepted their report.
Yeah.
So that's what we're presenting,
And that's it.
and the bottom line is to sell the
Sell or
building
not
to a
to sell.
developer, and then we put out RFPs, and we, whether it's our committee or another committee, chooses a developer based on their proposal
Or not.
for the highest and best use for the town as well as the property.
So we can title that presentation to sell or not to sell.
Okay.
That is the question.
So just let us know what date you guys pick to have this hearing and public forum, and so we can plan on it.
Yeah, we'll talk to committee members, so get their available dates, we'll find out.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Open Space Committee is next.
I have other business.
Is Bob, yeah, you want to?
Let me know what's going on, Jim.
Mark's coming in for open space. He can advocate for open space across the street. How you doing, Mark?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I guess I'm here to ask the board to review the open space plan. The Open Space Committee's been working for the past year and a half on updating the open space plan, which has to be renewed every 5 years. For those of you who don't know, the open space plan is quite a document. It's like 100 pages long, and it's got a description of the physical resources, the attributes of the town, in terms of open space, in terms of farmland, watersheds, water quality, forest land. And it's got some action recommendations that the Open Space Committee would like to implement over the next 5 years. By doing this plan, it enables the entire town to be accessible to certain state grants. So having an approved and active open space plan will enable us to apply for grants. And those grants might be for watershed protection, for instance, which is one of our action points, which we've been working on for the past 15 years, actually, protecting forest land in the watershed around the reservoir. We've just started doing trail work, and we've got a new trail that we've built up in the watershed. That's part of, we could get grants for implementing those types of things. And also preserving farmland for farmers and landowners that would like to do that. So that's part of what this whole plan is about. I know it's kind of heavy reading, but if you stick to the The back sections, which are kind of section 8 and 9 and 10, that's where the action recommendations are. And if you do get a chance to review those, we'd appreciate it. We need a letter of support or some letter from the Board of Selectmen to forward to the Department of Environmental Management so that they can review this whole plan as well. We need to get support. We need to get a letter from the Planning Board and the Conservation Commission and the Ag Commission as well. So
Okay.
that's what we're to ask.
Paul, you have a copy of the report?
It is in the secretary's office. It's about that thick.
Just one copy then?
The Planning Board, there is a number of hard copies. There's one at the library, there's one at the front office. It's also online, so it's on the town website, it's on the Open Space Committee page. So if you want a hard copy, you can actually get it right at the town, right at the front desk and take a look at it, so.
Yeah, we should probably, I've forgotten that you have to get letters from all those committees, but all those committees should have a hard copy.
Yeah. I think the best, we can make, you and I should talk then, Paul,
Yeah.
about making more hard
Yeah.
copies, so we can distribute those. If people are willing to go online and just open up the PDF online and read it that way and go to certain sections, then that's certainly easy for all the committee members, as opposed to making, 20
Well,
hard
I know,
copies.
I for one, and I know other people, if it's more than 2 pages, I don't want to read it online. I want a piece of paper in front of me.
Right,
Too old-fashioned.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I did read it.
Thank you.
I think it's very well done, well-researched, some reasonable targets and goals and objectives. I prepared some draft comments for the board to use in response, but as I termed, one overarching comment is that where you use the terms protect and control, that can't be read as prevent and preclude development. There's got to be a balance. I mean, the trick has always been, and the challenge remains, to reconcile preservation of our rural character while managing growth and development. When you look at this very document, talks about the decline of importance in farming in the community, as you highlight. PVPC's recent publication, what's it called? Our Next Future. We have the 3rd highest percentage of families in poverty. We're only behind Springfield and Holyoke in Hatfield. Who would have thunk? So when you say, maybe I'm misreading it, but when it says in there, well, we want to essentially stop development west of Interstate 91, I personally have an issue with that, and I realize,
I don't know where it says that, Jeff.
well,
I mean,
I should have written down the page number.
I tell you, that's in nowhere the intention of this committee to stop development anywhere.
Well,
I mean,
there's a clear inference there of trying to limit development along that corridor.
along the five-
Essentially Route 5 and 10.
Route 5 and 10.
It's west of 91. Well, so I was reacting to some of that kind of language. I understand we want to retain our rural character. That's clearly precious here. Makes Hatfield unique, makes Hatfield Hatfield. But on the other hand, we have to accommodate some growth and development.
I mean, I don't think it's possible for our committee to even have an impact on development. It's very difficult I think development is always going to occur because property owners' rights are very strong. Preservation takes cooperation from landowners and happens mostly on a volunteer basis. So this committee, this Open Space Committee, really has no authority.
I understand.
Right.
I understand.
In terms of that, it's our job to try to persuade some landowners, especially primarily farm landowners, that might want to preserve land, farmland in the long term, so that farming is always a part of this town. But all those things are volunteer. There's no coercion, or we have no authority to do that. So I'm sorry that you read into that, that inference, because I don't think that's the way the committee operates or the way the committee looks at the report. But
That issue aside, I think it's an excellent plan.
I think the balance idea between development and land preservation is something that's important, you know.
And it's hard.
I think development will always win out in the long run, as we've seen in other farming towns that have gone, that have been developed and their farmland has disappeared. So I think that it takes proactive approach, and that's what we're after.
I misunderstood. I thought we owed your comments today, the 12th. I thought you were looking.
That's what we would like. I mean,
so that's why I drafted some.
You know, we don't have we're past the deadline where we're supposed to submit this to the, but it just means that at some point, if we don't get this plan approved, that we're not going to be eligible for grants. It's not as though anything is going to fall apart.
So if we put this up on our next meeting, we should be okay with it?
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
So give us a chance to review it, and then
Yep.
make a
And
decision.
it is tough during the summer when people are on vacation, you know, and they're away and they're not able to read the report. So we understand that. Kind of finished it at a difficult time for the rest of the community. So.
Well, we're not going to, okay. By being late, we're not going to fall out of competition for grants.
No, I think that we
I mean,
probably, at
Ed
this
can stay up
point,
tonight and read it.
I mean, if we applied for a grant today and it
Okay.
was due at some point, that
All
there's a technicality, someone could say, well, your open space plan, you know, is not up to date, and therefore you don't qualify to apply for this grant. You know, I don't foresee that happening, but we would like to get it approved.
Okay.
We'll address it at our next meeting
Great,
for you. Okay,
thank you.
which is in 2 weeks. Give us 2 weeks.
Does the approval come from each of those other boards you mentioned as well, or just from us? And, do they have?
The final approval comes from the state.
Right, but I meant as far as, I know the planning board, you asked for them to have a copy.
Right,
It's
right.
mandatory that all
Yeah,
these
you're right,
other
that's my
committees-
question.
Mandatory that
Yeah.
the boards
Yeah.
make comments
Okay.
and provide written recommendations to the Open Space Committee about the plan. So that is
Wanted to
mandatory.
clarify that.
Right.
Thank
yeah.
you.
Okay,
Okay, thank you very much, Mark.
thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
So you have to make sure those other boards.
Bob, you're up.
Okay. We have a gravel and sand bank on Mountain Road that's been in operation in the family since the end of World War II, since the 40s. It's never been permitted because back then you just did what you had to do. And with my business operations scaled back, we may not be using it as much as we have in the past. And I didn't want to lose that right to do that. So is there a permit that you would grant us to operate the gravel bank from time to time? I mean, we've been doing it now for years and years and years, and we've taken a lot of material out of there to build a lot of projects. You know, in the years past, there was a lot of trucks hauling there.
I thought you were down to the water table, Bob, on that. I know when,
Well, there's
a couple
still,
of years ago, I'm not sure how much gravel is left
there's
in
still
there.
material, there's still material on the north side. Yeah, there's a hole next to Mountain Road, yeah.
Right.
There's a hole down there. But there's still
at
material on
one
the north
point-
side and the west side. And, I mean, it runs into Whately as well. There's material in Whately also.
I know at one
And
point,
I'm gonna be going there next, so, because it's been the same thing, you know, that, matter of fact, I bought land from Zaski, that we're taking gravel off, that he was doing it since the 40s apparently as well. This is Mountain Road, this is Korpiecki's house.
Yep.
This is where my house is. This lot is kind of cut here.
Right, but
This is
this
where
kind of
my-
goes like this to ground. I don't think you go anywhere near your house.
No,
Pretty
no,
much
no, we
lines
don't. No,
across here.
we're kind of up to about this line.
Yeah.
And that hole is, the deep hole is down here.
Because this is swampy area in here, isn't it?
No, there's no swamp there.
There's no
That's all
swamp.
high and dry.
Okay,
That's all high and dry.
so you can literally,
Yeah, the road coming in, we used to come in here, but then the neighbors didn't like the dust and all the trucks, so we moved the road, and there was always a road here.
right,
It just got abandoned, you know, in the 60s or 70s, so we reopened that again. So we come in this way, so it's kind of a road through the woods, so it doesn't make a lot of dust and stuff. So, no, this is all high and dry.
okay. If that's the case, then if your original bank stops in, or it must go something like this,
Yeah,
because there's a brook. Where's the brook? It's
The brook is
over
way over
there,
here.
yeah, okay. So if you're looking, basically, this is probably, almost everything's taken out, but it's higher over here. You got fill over
yeah,
here,
there's
right?
still, well, in here we had, it's called ABC, asphalt, brick, and concrete. And we brought it in from our projects and we crushed it. So we have a stockpile here now of ABC that's been
Right.
crushed, because you have to crush it. You can't leave it in big chunks, so it has to be 6 inch minus. So we have a mountain of that material right in here.
Okay, so you're,
That's-
you're asking us basically to permit the parcel,
Well,
the whole parcel then?
what do the zoning bylaws say? Is there nothing about gravel removal or earth removal in the zoning bylaws?
Says that, I mean, if someone were come in today with a piece of land, I bought a piece of land and I wanna start digging gravel off it, it requires a special permit from the planning board.
Okay, so this is a,
Grandfathered.
pre-existing,
Pre-existing.
existing non-conforming
Grandfathered-
use.
Grandfathered pit.
Well, is it non, I mean, if somebody, would it be allowed by a special permit in this area? In this
That's
zone?
The planning board, it's allowed with a special permit in that zone.
Okay,
But
okay,
it requires a special permit.
Special
from the
permit,
planning board.
okay.
So
okay,
a special permit can be denied.
yeah. So your concern is that it being a pre-existing non-conforming use, if it lay dormant for 2 years, then you lose that protection?
Well, or the activity was
Yeah.
way, way down.
Yeah.
So not dormant, but
Yeah,
way down.
yeah,
I mean, you guys aren't gonna be, you know, not everybody's, the same administration may not be here. And I don't want somebody to come along and say, there's been not a lot of activity there, cease and desist. Or stop doing what you're doing, or what you've been doing. Again, because we've got material here that's been crushed and stockpiled, and we draw off of that.
But the concern is not here, the concern is, my concern is the removal of, this is stuff that was brought in.
Yeah, yeah.
My concern is the removal of the land, okay, around it. Okay, what's left for gravel that's around it, what's left for all over to here? That's my concern, okay?
What's the concern? It's a
Well,
gravel
it's not
bank.
really a concern, it just, where you said that you didn't want anybody to stop you from doing that, well, I don't think anybody can stop you from doing
Okay.
it, that's the concern that I have.
Okay.
For future, looking
Okay.
at it from the future. My concern is that I feel that the gravel bank is open all the way through, within a certain distance of the property lines,
Yeah.
okay? I mean, you can't
No,
go
you
down
can't
with
dig
100
like-
feet
you can't dig like
and,
this up to a property
you know,
I
right.
mean, there's.
It has to be like a
Yeah, there's
90
a law
degree
that
angle or
dictates the
something like that.
slope. There's the angle of repose of the soil is
Right,
generally what the
and
slope
that's,
is.
that would be, you know, what I would anticipate that, but I mean, you wouldn't want to have that gravel bank go anywhere near your house, although if you sold the property and house, they might demolish the house and want the land, okay? Because the value is here,
Would be.
okay?
So what are you saying? I don't need a permit, just keep going the way I'm going?
Falls on the grandfather. I don't
Well,
feel that we've permitted anything out there on the gravel banks, and,
I mean, you'd have to, under the law, you know, if it's a pre-existing non-conforming use, if it hasn't been used for 2 years or more, then it no longer has that protection. But as long as it's still being used,
Okay.
Right, so if he goes up, you know, once a month and puts a
Once-
gravel.
once a year.
truckload of gravel,
Yeah.
and you get it out of there, you're still using it, Bob.
Yeah.
If you shift it from here to here, you're using it,
Okay.
okay? That's the way I look
Yeah,
at it.
Because my operation is diminished, I just didn't want somebody to feel like.
But Paul's
Well,
right,
where would it be challenged that he's not used it for 2
oh,
years?
it would have to be, you know.
To
like
what
a
board?
Zoning
neighbor.
enforcement, I guess.
if one of the
Or,
neighbors
yeah,
said
a
that,
neighbor,
I'm home every day and I've never seen
Yeah.
Bob in that pit,
Well, They
then,
don't see us too much
and
anyway.
he's
because
digging too close to
there's
my
woods
property.
along here, and we use
he's
this
not-
road,
you
other
know,
than
he
the
isn't
truck
using
coming
it.
and going.
hold on, what was
Yeah.
that, Paul?
I said, a neighbor say he's digging too close to my property, he's not using it anymore, he shouldn't be allowed to. I'm
So
just saying.
zoning
You know, who-
enforcement would be.
Jeff
the-
asked, you
Yeah.
know, who would challenge it? And I was giving a hypothetical.
Only your neighbors are gonna be challenging it, that's the only ones, and if you stay, your distance, your toe is 45-degree angle, I don't think you have a problem, I don't think you have a leg to
It's not
stand up.
45, it's the angle of repose, I think it's like 25 degrees.
25?
Well, is it,
Okay.
is
Whatever
it
it is.
necessary for the board to put on record that we've considered the matter and continue the,
Well, actually, I mean, this isn't, quite frankly, this is entirely a zoning issue. It belongs with the planning board.
But is there a permit process if somebody?
No.
There is no, we have no
No.
permit process
No.
in place
No.
to issue
Well,
the
that-
permit, so you're all set, Bob.
Okay.
Bottom line is you're all set.
Indicating there is no permit and we're allowed to continue doing what we're doing
Based on the
yeah,
grandfather.
that's
based on the grandfather. I just like to have it in my possession, like Bob said, 5 years from now, when you guys are all gone and somebody else has a problem with it,
that's my,
saying we don't have a permit.
It would have, there is no permit, yeah, we,
Yeah, so just, we'd like a letter just saying there is no permit, you can keep doing what you're doing.
we will draft a letter in that respect
To
to
that
you guys,
effect.
so you have it on record.
It would actually, you know, coming from the selectmen, it really doesn't carry any weight. If it came from the planning board, it would carry some weight.
Yeah, but what Bob's saying is the permit to remove.
There is
like,
no
You
permit.
need a permit on our end.
But there is no permit,
There is
but
no
if
permit,
there were a
yeah.
permit, it would come from the
That-
Board of
that-
Selectmen.
That's right.
There
yeah.
is no
Because you
permitting
issue-
process.
Yeah.
All the other permits in town,
Yeah.
tax sale permits come from you guys,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So,
So,
and
the only
many other
thing,
towns that do have gravel permits, the
They have
the
separate
executive
bylaws.
branch of the town
Right.
issues
Yeah.
the permit, the
The
Board
only
of
thing-
Selectmen, the city council, whatever.
right now, you cannot remove topsoil and take it out of this town because the zoning prohibits that.
Okay,
Okay, so topsoil is protected in this town.
okay.
Thank you for
very much.
checking.
Yes.
You know,
And I
Better safe than
I-
sorry.
You know,
Yeah.
diminished activity, I didn't want it to.
Sure.
To revert back to.
Okay, Bob,
Thank you
thanks for
very
coming in.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Tony.
Thank you.
Okay, tax collector number 5, tax collector resignation.
Yeah, we already talked about it, so
We're pretty much done with
we
that.
we can pretty much move on.
Okay, building inspector issues.
and the announcement is out
The announcement was,
for the position, the vacancy.
Oh,
oh, okay,
Yeah.
for,
Yeah,
It's been published,
okay,
Yeah, the building
the
inspectors.
tax collectors.
tax collector.
Oh, tax collector, yeah, it's being advertised. It's on the town website. It's on the Massachusetts Collectors and Treasurers website, and it's also on Craigslist.
Okay. Next topic, looking to appoint an alternate building inspector, or Kyle had sent in a request.
Right, the update on that is that I had a discussion with him, and he will be putting forward another individual
This is
as the
withdrawn.
alternate. Yeah, he's withdrawing that.
Did withdraw it? Okay.
Yeah, he's withdrawing that.
Okay, so then we'll put it on next agenda.
Yeah, I was hoping, I told him last week, well, call some of your colleagues, and, I said, whoever you feel comfortable with,
we had the
and
personal
line
issues
them
last
up,
week.
get a letter to me, And I'll bring it before the selectmen because they're meeting on Tuesday, but I haven't received the letter yet.
How about the administrative support? Has he backed off on that, or?
Yeah, well, I discussed that with him, and he said he was going to talk to Jenny Williams in the assessor's office. I don't know if that's taken place yet. And she's gone now for 2 weeks, so.
Well, talk to Jenny Williams about?
About having some of those files, have her go through them and see if they were ever submitted.
Oh.
He's the only one that can really go through that. He understands, Jenny doesn't understand the building permit process.
Well, it's a matter, these permits are supposed to be turned over to the assessors so that they can make adjustments.
I know
So we're not
Stanley was doing that on a regular basis. I mean, every time we went out for an inspection, Jenny was with them and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
we're just looking to see whether,
Okay. Whatever.
whatever.
Okay, so,
That'll be his problem to make sure it runs.
well, I understood he was looking for some support. So the assessor's clerk's review will satisfy that,
Yeah, yeah.
the issues?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah. I mean, at least that's to everybody's understanding right now.
Okay.
We'll have to see.
I guess, you're talking about the assessor's part, she's gone for 2 weeks. How can they leave the office unattended for 2 weeks if she's not needed for 2 weeks? I mean, the public, everything's online, so is,
Well, she left a note on the door that all the property information is online.
so I guess my question is, I guess that's not
Not
our
ours.
concern, but there is a concern out there, do we need her for that much time then? That's the question.
Yeah.
Well, that's the
Okay.
assessor's issue.
So, all right, moving on. Public safety building status,
Not too much to report there. I did send off an email to Evergreen Construction, the contractor, a couple of weeks ago. I have talked with the project manager. I basically sent out an email saying, are we ever going to close on this project? So they have been taking some actions here. She CC'd me on some emails that she had sent out to the subcontractors, and so after weeks and weeks of no activity whatsoever, there finally seems to be some movement here, so.
because things still aren't right, and, Mark
Yeah.
is still here, I was gonna say Mark left. The things still are not right.
Yeah, I mean,
the
there's been
door-
they have had absolutely no contact with Mark at all.
The door locks are not what we requested, they don't stay open. The doors are locked all the time, so there's no way to get in except keep a block of wood in the door for the public to come in. And those locks were supposed to be put in there so you could keep them open. You can unlock them and keep them open.
Oh, yeah, there's still some issues hanging out there.
And there's other issues in there too, so.
Did they ever do the punch list?
Oh, yeah.
Did they?
Come on forward, Mark. If we want to talk about it.
Wasn't rhetorical.
They have the punch list, so.
I know they have it.
They have it, yeah.
Oh.
Have they ever finished the punch list?
Yes.
No.
No.
Oh,
So can we put them on notice again, okay, like we did the last time, and we've got a certain amount of days? If they don't respond, we just go ahead and hire somebody to do it.
It's it's small-time stuff. Some of it is, it's so small at this point that, I mean, for all intents and purposes, the project they're operating in the building, they're working in the building. It's legally occupiable, a certificate of occupancy has been given. It's just these final little things that need to be finished out and then the final payment made. So it's really nothing that's holding the building from functioning the way it should, or keeping the
Right, but
project.
they can't not finish it. They have to finish it. If they don't finish it, we'll finish it and then back charge them and pay them the rest of the
We
money.
hold the money anyway, so it's not
Yeah.
like we have to back charge it. We would just use that
don't
money.
know.
Yeah.
I guess the important issue comes down to contractually what what is our obligation contractually for a time period when we can act legally? So that's kind of, I think, what would have to, so if we decided, if the town decided, okay, the project's over, from our standpoint, we're gonna use the money to finish up the project, I guess that would be the legal question is, what is that?
Can we get a
What is
legal
that?
opinion on where we're at with this, and then move forward and let's close it out?
We can do that.
Let's do it.
We can get attorneys,
What do you think?
Seward, is that
It's time.
Seward?
Right.
Or, no, no.
Seawald.
Seawald,
Alan
yeah.
Seawald.
Attorney Seawald back involved again.
All right. Want a motion?
Is there a
I'll
motion? or-
move to
You need
to hire the attorney to close out our emergency complex building and do what needs to be done to close that account out legally.
a second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I just, well, when we say close out, I think it's get the attorney involved to send the letter that says, here's the deal, right? I mean, are we, are we telling them we're pulling the plug? Are we verifying the contract, as to Mark's point, what the date was? And if we don't hear from you by X, Y, Z, you won't be getting your last pay, or, I mean, whatever the proper wording is.
Yeah, He'll
I mean,
advise us
yeah.
legally on what we can do, how much we
Okay.
can hold, and all that other
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
That's right.
I mean, we haven't been able to get, them to sign off on substantial completion yet.
Right.
And it's way beyond that.
I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
the intent of the letter, that I understood Ed's
Yeah.
motion and the intent of what the letter was going to be.
And
for.
that the proceeds for the attorney will come out of the money that's left, that's all. I mean, that's where it comes from, so. It's a viable expense.
Right.
Okay, motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried, thank you. All right,
Thank you.
that's where we're headed.
Page
Mark.
16, top. Page 16. Control
No, we're not backtracking here now.
sewer service in your plan.
Okay, well, yeah, please, discuss, we can talk.
Okay, ambulance billing,
All right, not too much to report here either. I've got the ambulance director helping me out on this. I think at the last time we discussed it, we wanted to find out, specifically what Northampton and Amherst were doing in this regard. Well, come to find out, neither Northampton or Amherst have a formal abatement policy. So, but Steve Gahn, the ambulance director, said, I know there's other towns out there, so he's still working it.
okay.
So.
I thought we were abating tonight, that's what I thought that was.
Okay.
Zero.
No, we're
Okay.
trying to nail down this
So
abatement policy.
Stephen is working on it.
He's
so
working on it, yeah.
He just needs a little more time to get
Yeah.
information for us.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but we will invite him in.
Once,
Probably at our next meeting or the meeting
yeah, I
after.
mean, once he comes back with the information, then, we need to have him in here to talk to us about it.
Okay, expedited
Well,
permit.
we'd like, recall, we never finished the discussion with the fire chief, who now has ambulance. He wanted to defer discussion about the ambulance until he could have Stephen with him.
Right.
He wasn't
Yeah,
here.
that's what we're
Right.
talking
So,
about.
okay,
Yeah.
I think that's what Ed was
Exactly.
trying to talk about. It's not just this, but the whole ambulance activity,
picture.
Oh,
response
okay,
to
okay,
calls, what are the
okay.
numbers, those
Okay,
kinds of things.
Right, okay, yeah.
So when he's ready with the full
Yeah.
report, he'll come
Yeah,
in.
let's,
Like I say,
yeah,
either next meeting or
deal
the
with it
meeting
all at
after.
once.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, expedited permitting.
Yeah,
That,
well, yeah, I mean,
you talked to Kyle in regards to that? He's got some work to do on that.
yeah, he doesn't know anything about it.
He's coming in cold,
Yeah.
okay.
So there's 3 things that we need to get done by the middle of September. We've done 2 of them, and the other one is to put a comprehensive permit package together, which hasn't been done yet. Now, Jeff, you got a whole bunch of stuff from PVPC. Did any of that? I'm shooting in the dark here. I really don't know what to do.
I gave you everything I had.
You gave me everything you had. Well, I have no idea where it is.
I have
'Cause I've got a file on expedited permitting, and none of that stuff is in there. But didn't Larry Smith from PVPC send you a whole bunch of stuff?
Yeah, he sent me the packages from other communities,
Right.
and you have those.
Yeah,
I
well,
forward those on to you, those as samples,
Yeah.
exemplars of,
did you email them to me?
I'm sure I did.
Yeah. Because I thought you might have, and I went looking for them the other day, and I couldn't find them, but I'll look again.
Okay, oh. Well, if you can't find them, I'll look again.
All right.
Well, the other thing we still need to do is lock down that agreement with a landowner to participate.
I don't think,
Did we ever get-
We can find one.
Did we ever get the blank, fill in the blank format from our legal folks
No,
that we requested at least 3 months ago?
yeah.
I almost regret I
Wow.
moved to hire Hackett and went Lucas.
But I,
Well, I asked months ago for a simple form that we could use where all you do, consistent with the expedited permitting law, that you'd simply enter the name of the landowner and identify the parcel, that we could use as the signed agreement with a landowner that this is a qualifying parcel and the landowner wants to put it in the expedited, is willing to put it in and be identified as available for expedited permitting.
yeah.
Can we create that form? That shouldn't take too long to create that form and get it ready.
No,
I mean-
about 30 seconds.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've looked through the law, and I don't see where that's a requirement at this stage of the game.
Here's the requirements.
Obviously, if we were to enter into an agreement with somebody, we would want that, but I don't see, there's 3 things that we need to implement it.
The obligations, communities must identify a qualifying parcel as a priority development site and obtain permission of its owner, if private, for participation in the program. It must appoint a single point of contact for streamlined permitting. It must amend local rules, regulation, bylaws to comply with a 180-day permit timeline. It must determine and make available the requirements for each permit. It must establish a procedure for identifying necessary permits for a project. It must establish a procedure for determining completeness of the required submissions. After the 120-day phase-in is complete, the town must render permitting decisions on priority development sites within 180 days.
All right, will you take that information?
You know, we're going
Put it
to,
together.
quite honestly, and you read the law, it talks about the planning department doing this, and the planning department doing that, and the planning department doing this.
don't have a
We
planning
don't have a
department.
planning department. So this
So in
is
order
geared to
to-
much larger communities. If we're gonna do this, we need to get some technical assistance from PVPC. They gotta do it for us.
Then we got to pay for it or.
That's
pay for it
right.
for it.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe get it under district local technical assistance,
Yeah,
DLTA.
yeah.
Don't they have to
With,
give us
We
so
can-
much time a year?
Well, they do.
Yeah, so why can't this be part of it?
Well,
Yeah, I'll-
you have
I'm
to,
gonna-
you have to
I'm-
apply.
I'm gonna call Larry tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, we bought into that, so we pay them X amount of dollars a year for it.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean,
get
they-
good
for
support
something
from
like this, you know, it's a relatively small thing. I mean, they provide freebies up to a certain extent, you know,
Yeah.
to their member communities, so,
Okay,
I'll
so
get
we'll
on
have
that.
some for our next meeting?
yeah.
Okay, put that on the agenda for next meeting. Okay, one-day alcohol permits. Is there a motion to, let's see, we have
Move to
one.
approve 3-day alcohol license requests as submitted for the Holy Name of Jesus Church, Grill and Chill, Rotary Club of Amherst, and the Food Bank of Western Massachusetts.
Motion been made, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Have all the liability forms, insurance came back? Okay. Motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. We approve those one-day licenses. Okay. All right, Council on Aging, the four,
Move to ratify the chair's approval of Council on Aging's fiscal year 15 formula grant submission.
motion been made, is there a
Second.
second? Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay.
I also wanted to use this as an opportunity. You're our liaison, but, and I'm not trying to ask you right now, but looking at this, do we improve our standing to get a grant if we show that the town, in fact, is providing more support? And that's a rhetorical question for you right now.
Right.
But I
Yes,
asked,
it is.
I asked, I know, you just got here. I asked the question because, for example, under municipal funding, there's a lot of blank lines where, in fact, the town is contributing funds. We pay for the utilities, they're not paying. We pay for repairs and maintenance. We pay for equipment and furnishings. We pay for office supplies, well, they got office supplies. We pay for copying.
Yeah, I got you.
All that kind of stuff.
I'll meet with James.
And if we can show that we're doing more,
But
maybe.
you can't get any more than $1,500, Jeff.
Okay, well, that's what I was asking.
This is the whole thing. It's $1,500.
That's what I was
She puts
asking.
all this together. We have to have a matching, so we have to match $1,500. That's what we have to match. But it can be utilized, and she puts all the documentation down here. So,
But I'm saying there's a lot more things we provide.
yeah, but that's all she has to show is $1,500.
Okay, so we can't improve
You can't
our.
get any more money. That's that.
I'm trying.
Good try.
I'm trying. All right,
Yeah, it's just the grant that they give to cities and, the communities.
all right,
And it's just a
disregard.
little grant.
We'll take everything we can get.
Okay, administrators report, human resource policy.
Oh, well, you skipped over topic 12, fall meeting schedule. I just put that on there just to, are we,
Scheduled for the 26th,
yep, and then going, let's,
21st, right?
26th,
26th.
26, yeah.
and then we have
So
So does
September.
anybody see any problems, coming up, with the second and fourth?
No,
With the what?
The second and fourth?
the 9th and the 23rd, you mean?
No, second and
Second and
fourth
fourth.
Fourth
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays.
Oh.
Yeah,
I like to keep that
Yes,
schedule.
and
It's
November
something
and
to do.
December I do.
in December?
November and December.
November and December.
That puts us, November, our 25th of November puts us 2 days before Thanksgiving. I probably won't be here if,
Okay,
I don't know about others. And then it's, 23rd of December is our meeting,
Second, 25th,
it's just before Christmas.
just before
yeah.
Christmas. I won't be here that week either.
December, so that would be the 9th and the 23rd. I don't have a problem with the 23rd, do you?
But no, you're talking about September. We're okay with
Oh, I
September.
thought you said December.
We're good for
November.
September, we're good for October.
Good for October, September and October, November and December.
I'm good with the second and fourth, or second and fourth, yeah. That
Well,
works for you.
But the meeting is, well, first of all, in November, isn't November 11th Veterans Day?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so we can't help.
we can't have a meeting on
can't
that day
meet
anyway. It's a holiday. And then the 25th is just a couple days from Thanksgiving.
But you're not gonna be around.
I won't be here for the week.
Okay.
Do you want to come back to it? We're okay through October.
I could do the 3rd and the 17th, those are Mondays, if you want to do them on a Monday. Those look all right with you, or are you leaving for the holiday on the,
Just a second.
on the 24th?
Okay, this is November.
Or the
Okay,
10th
so,
and 24th.
so the 3rd of November, vice the 11th. That's okay with you?
I'm good with the 3rd and 17th if you did it on
Is that an
Monday.
election day, November 3rd?
I think
November
it's the
4th.
4th,
Oh, you're back to Mondays?
Yeah, I'm talking Mondays.
yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm looking at mine, I'm open on Mondays.
3rd and 17th at 5 o'clock?
Yeah,
It's fine with me. For November.
yeah.
at 5 o'clock. Yep. Is that okay with you, Brian?
Yeah,
Okay.
yep, I'm not traveling anywhere, so I'll be
And then
around.
December, December 9th is fine. But I just had a problem with the 23rd.
The 9th and the 23rd, is the 23rd, anybody going, you're going to be heading out, Jeff?
Yes.
The
Why don't you do
23rd?
them a week earlier? Why don't you do them the 2nd and the 16th?
Could do that.
I got Homeland Security Council meeting. Oh, that's in the morning. I could do, yeah, I could do it, and,
That's just a thought, I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
no, I could do it on the 16th.
16th, that's great.
But are we going to need a meeting, 2 in a row right there, one week after another?
I wouldn't think so. Right, you want to just shoot for one meeting in December?
I mean, there's 5.
Oh, I said
we
December
could go to-
2nd and December 16th.
Are you going right to the New Year's Eve?
That'd work.
That's
No,
2
no,
weeks
I'll be
after
back.
that.
Yeah.
We could do the 30th,
Yeah.
29th to 30th.
Yeah, I could do the 30th.
Of
Where at?
December?
Yeah.
No, that's not
That-
good.
No, that's
Okay,
not good for me.
No.
Can't we do November 3rd and 17th, which we just agreed on?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then December 2nd
Second.
and December 16th. Those are 2 weeks apart from one another,
that's
if you
fine.
need to have two.
yeah, first Tuesday is my Homeland Security. First and third are always Homeland Security for me.
At 5 o'clock?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
We're good, okay.
So,
I'm thinking,
Yeah, there's,
I'm
no-
going
there
back
should,
9
there should
o'clock
be
in the
no
morning here.
there should
I
be
wish
no
we-
conflict with those meetings anymore. Because those are during the day, your, whatever they are.
Homeland Security.
Homeland Security, yeah.
okay,
Those are
so,
mornings.
Those are mornings, yeah.
So,
so September, next meeting, 26 August, and then September 9 and 23rd. October's 14 and 28,
August
No.
20, hold on, 26th,
October 14th and 28th.
October.
Might not
And
even
November 3rd and 17th.
Hold
Yeah.
on a second, Jeff, I just want to make sure I got
need- They're a
everything.
week apart.
October, what'd you have for, that'd be the 14th and 28th, you said?
Correct.
Okay,
And then November 3rd and 17th,
got that.
and December 2nd and 16th.
Okay,
So between October 28th and November 3rd, it's only a week, which is fine. I mean,
Yeah.
are you going to need another meeting, you know? Oh, why don't we just wait to see how it's going and see what the
We could
agendas are?
always
maybe,
adjust.
and At
And
least this way we can mark our calendars.
and then the 21st, we've got the special town meeting.
Yeah.
October 26th.
Well, you guys haven't voted on
For the
that
special
yet.
town meeting,
Yeah,
21st.
Maybe.
that's what I said to you, and you said, no, it's the 26th.
No, 14 and 28 for our meetings. Special town meeting, to
The
cover
20
Center
I had the
School.
21st down, and you said 26th, so it is the
No.
21st.
21st.
Okay, got it.
And then you're going to cover Luminarium.
I will,
You got the honors.
yep.
Sunday before Christmas.
And, okay, so we're all set on the schedule, right up to the end of the year? Good. Okay. All right, now you're on, human resource.
Oh, yeah, while we're talking about schedules, I got a letter or an email from Jim Mazik from Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, which I made a copy for you. Paul, can you come up with some dates, times for mandatory EDF public hearing in September? I need sufficient advance notice in order to publish the hearing notice. So I suggested to him, we have the public hearing at our regular scheduled meeting on September 21 at 5 o'clock.
What hearing? I'm sorry.
This is for the Economic Development Grant, the Center School Grant.
Yeah,
This is to comply with all the federal hoopla, rigmarole. One of the things that's required as part of the closeout is they have to hold a public hearing
On the results?
on the results. Now, we're
I
going to
thought
hold
I thought that's what we already did.
We're-
Go ahead.
we're going to hold a public hearing, and nobody's going to show up. and that's, you know, except maybe some of the committee members. So, but it's got to, you know, put a notice in the, you know, a local paper. It's got to be posted in town hall, all this kind of stuff. I've been to a lot of these types of public hearings, and, you know, it's part of the
just a formality.
procedure.
I
It's a
understand that
it's
part.
strictly a formality,
Okay. All right, put it together and
so,
put it on the agenda.
okay.
Put it first
Yeah, I'm gonna
thing.
put it, I'll put it, you know, 5
Right up
o'clock,
front.
September 21.
Well, no, not
No,
at 5 o'clock.
23rd.
Do 5:15 or something like that.
Oh,
Give us-
okay.
Give us about 15 minutes to
Okay.
get into the meeting and
All right.
that kind of stuff.
We're not meeting on the 21st, so it's 23rd.
What is it?
We're not meeting on the 21st,
Oh,
it's 23rd.
23rd, okay, sorry.
Okay,
23rd of,
that's September. That's our regular meeting.
Yeah,
9th
regular
and the
meeting.
23rd.
That's no change.
okay, so this September 23rd,
That's our regular meeting.
seconded. Okay, got it.
Got it?
Damn it.
September 23rd.
I'm looking for the fucking agenda.
I just didn't have it in this one here.
Oh, here we go.
Paul,
Yes,
if we have the special town meeting on the 21st, when do we have to put the warrant out for that? Was that 14 days ahead of time?
for a special, it's 2 weeks.
Okay, so essentially, we need to lock that down by the end of September, I guess, just about.
Yep. Then we need to figure out
So we should look maybe at the 23rd of September to approve the warrant. That means we get it through legal and,
Yeah.
well, I think we're,
Well, I don't know if that will give, and I'll have to talk to Lydia about that. I'm not sure, there's, you know, there's various timing requirements
okay.
on her part, on our part.
I think it's 30 days prior
Yeah,
on a special town meeting.
yeah,
Annual town meeting is 15 days prior to the meeting,
yeah,
okay.
or 7 or 15, one or the other.
yeah. So,
Well, all I care about is we build that back into this schedule.
Our schedule.
So we don't have a special meeting just for a 2-second approval of a warrant.
yeah, yeah, okay.
And if we have to have a quick meeting, just in the interim, just to get that resolved, we can do that too.
Okay.
Just for discussion on that. Okay, human resource policy.
I recommend that we skip over this because it's getting late and it's nothing we really have to deal with tonight.
Okay,
Can I ask, what, was the only thing on here, the medical exam part?
Well, I highlighted some things that were moved around, but you know,
Okay.
there's not much in there.
All right, we'll
Yeah.
just, I couldn't tell what exactly we were going to do.
Deal with it in the next
you
one.
want
All
those
right,
back
that's
for the
fine.
next time? You can put them in
Yeah.
the package?
Yeah, why don't you give those back to me?
Oh,
Or you want to hold out? Okay.
The next thing I have is the HCOG accounting service. Now, we talked about this, and actually, I had you sign the contracts at our last meeting. I had Mike sign the contracts, and then I sent them off to town council, you know, to get their signature. Well, I don't know what happened to them. They disappeared after a couple of, I don't know. Well, I know that our main attorney there's been kind of out on medical leave here and there, but I don't know. Anyways, they disappeared. So
Did they receive them, do you know?
I don't know. Because after a couple of weeks, I said, you know, where do we stand with the HCOG contract? I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, then I suggest to
Yeah,
start
well,
another
anyways,
contract
I've got,
process and follow it right until that's in their hands.
yeah. So
Okay,
it's
and-
been reviewed by town council, signed by town council, signed by the accountant. I just need your signatures, and then I can ship it off to the HCOG.
All our signatures are just,
Yeah.
oh.
Jeff, you want to be the vice chair and I'll be the clerk? 'Cause those are the titles we got on the last page.
Scratch about it.
Doesn't matter.
It has a connotation to it, doesn't it? The
Today's
vice
date?
chair.
Today's date, yeah.
It's identical to the first one? Are you sure?
It really doesn't make any difference.
Of course it does.
It really
You
doesn't.
should have a copy of the first one, right?
Not a signed copy, no.
No, but I'm talking about this, I mean, we're signing a document here that if it's not the same as the one that we passed off to them,
It's the same one.
okay.
I'll tell you in a second. Oh, and you did, Ed brought up a good point. You did check with them about the software requirements?
Yes.
And they're not,
It's a
there's
non-issue.
nothing onerous?
The figures that I'm concerned about, Jeff.
No, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay.
And so there's nothing onerous?
No,
just-
not at all. As a matter of fact,
You were asking about requirements to have certain software, Ed?
as a matter of fact, Roland, who's the program director, uses the exact same software in his office
Okay.
as we use here.
14.
There's 12.
12, I'm sorry. 12, 14.
You want us to put the date in on the front page?
Sure, yeah.
Jeff,
Oh, he signed this one.
you know, he's adding something to the front page, the date.
Oh. Okay.
1, 2.
Put a string on it, Paul?
I'll try not to lose them this time.
Might have gone back to Hitchcock.
Okay, Prospect Street Bridge,
Yeah, we,
Prospect Court.
on the advice of Mike Ohl, we engaged Steer Engineering to do the analysis on the bridge. So they have been out, they're finishing up the report. I got an email from the principal today saying that they just got in a quote for a prefab pedestrian bridge, because we're asking them to,
Yeah.
okay, what's it gonna cost to fix it up? What's it gonna cost to replace it with something new? So they're just about
Wait a minute, what do you mean? We're not replacing it with something new. It's refurbishing the historical part of the bridge.
What we asked the consultant to do was two things. To, well, what's the, what's the structural analysis like? Abutments and the structure itself, and what would that cost to fix it up? And then the other half is if we were to just remove that bridge and replace it with something new, what would that cost?
Not a new bridge, a new pedestrian
Bridge, yeah.
walkway.
I know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the idea was to keep the steel and the structural part, maybe narrow it, okay, for pedestrian, maybe
Well,
keep it the
I-
same width.
That was one design,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I think, you know,
the notion was to permit bikes and
to create a, yeah,
pedestrians.
yeah, if
the
it's gonna,
opportunity
you
to
know,
just
if it's
walk
gonna
across.
cost if it's gonna cost $1 million
Yeah.
to refurbish the old bridge, it's gonna cost us, you know, $150,000 to put in a new one, well, which way are we gonna go?
Okay, I hear what you're saying, okay.
And the bigger question is it even salvageable? I don't know.
Yeah.
It may be so rusted out that you can't do anything with it.
Okay,
So
so
just
we'll
give
wait
us
for the
options.
analysis to come back.
Yeah.
Okay,
So anyway, by our next meeting, I should have the report by then.
okay, good.
Great.
FRTA,
So, yeah, there's a letter in the packet there from the FRTA. We still have not gotten a letter from the Secretary of Transportation saying that, that this is okay. There should be no problem with it, it's just a matter of getting the letter. But what they need from us is, this is a request for the town to submit a letter stating the person that will serve as the FRTA Advisory Board member, and one appointed designee. Please be sure the letter clearly states that the appointment will be for the current fiscal year. We will still need a letter even if the person is a member of the Select Board. Please state the note. So we need to find somebody, and it says in here somewhere, as I recall, oh, yeah, if you do not wish to appoint someone to this position, the chairman of the select board will be the member for the advisory board, as stated in MGL 161B, and will still be necessary to forward the above information to us.
the advisory board, what do they do? They
Yeah,
just have a
FR
meeting a month or
They
something
probably
like
have
that?
a meeting a month, yeah.
Oh, I think their meetings are on the front page, Ed, third paragraph. It looks like it's quarterly, or every 4 months or something.
Do we want to make it the chairman of the Board of Selectmen on a yearly basis?
Fine.
That's part of
Yeah.
his responsibilities?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, me too.
For this year.
So moved.
Second,
Well, it's just easy,
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
it's just easy.
Thanks, Ed.
I just thought that would be, I know it's just another thing for me.
Well, we know how much you like going to meetings, Ed.
This
Yeah,
thing,
right.
all of us.
Okay.
All right, so you can put my name down and.
Okay,
and we'll
I'll send a-
rotate in
I'll
May, there'll be,
Send a letter off.
chair is there.
Now,
And then, okay, Smith.
any- have we
Yeah.
had any further dialogue with gentlemen from Danco and others about
No,
fiscal
yet.
contributions to?
No, I mean, I
see the-
wanted to wait till,
This is all
get
settled?
this was all
Okay.
settled, and
Okay, because it looks like it's 3,000
Yeah,
that they want.
$3,000 a year.
Stop.
$300, yeah, it's not bad.
It's less than what we thought it was. We thought it
Yeah,
was going to be
yeah,
about 5.
yeah,
Now, are they just
So now
stopping?
that
It's
we've-
really one stop in Hatfield, or are they making
well,
a
that,
couple of stops?
well, that remains to be seen, I'm gonna have to set up a meeting, with FRTA, and I think with PVTA, and then, the two building owners out here, to
Well-
kind of coordinate this whole
The
thing.
only one that we're dealing with is the medical building.
And Danco
two.
Building.
And Danco?
Danco,
but
yeah.
the two of
They
them
both,
right
they both submitted letters saying, we need public transportation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well, maybe
now
if
that we've
we-
taken care of this, I can call Mike at the FRTA and said, we need to set up a meeting with all the involved parties.
All right.
And then Smith Academy, just quick update, had a meeting with the consultants and the superintendent last week or the week before. The roof project is supposed to be substantially complete tomorrow.
Great.
Okay.
And the schedule and it's pretty much gone on, without a hitch. I think there's been one fairly minor change order, but it's been going pretty smoothly. And then the window project, the schedule for that is They will start the last week of September, and they will finish the first week of October. So they're looking at, 2 weeks, just, it sounds like they're gonna, initially it sounded like it was gonna take much longer. I think they're committing additional crews to it, so that should be, the schedule now is that they'll be in and out of there in 2 weeks, and they'll be done before Columbus Day. So that's where we're at.
That's good. Okay, Woodbridge Circle. Notice in the package that Mr. Zeminski had sent a $1,600. John? Right there, over here.
So, I submitted a bill for removal, which was given me, was given permission by Phil, and to irrigate the circle, and then after I did it, there was a stop work order, and I guess he overstepped his bounds, I guess, giving me authority to irrigate the circle and take the bushes out. And the bushes were 7 feet tall. I spoke to Fire Chief Belden and not ambulance drivers, UPS drivers, FedEx drivers. They all said it blocked the line of sight. In fact, one of my neighbors called the police department and sent out a cruiser. And I didn't even know he was there for, official business. And in talking with him, I said, he asked me who took it out. I said, well, I didn't do it myself, but I was given permission to do it. And Richie Walter Thayer did it. And he says, you have the letter, and you have a copy of the letter that I got giving me permission. And he says, oh, okay. He says, it's fine, And I said, what do you think it is? He says, well, I think it's a good project because, he says, the bushes blocked the line of sight going around the circle. He says, a couple of times people were walking their dogs and had to swerve around them. And I personally saw a kid on a bicycle almost get hit by, I don't know if it was a DHL truck or a FedEx truck. He kind of swerved at the last second, okay? And the bushes were very overgrown. There was poison ivy in them. I took care of the circle. Jim Reedy gave me permission years ago. I took care of that circle for 11 years. The lawn in that circle was as good as the lawn of my own house, which I used to live at 8 Woodridge Circle. I built the house next door for my bride, and she passed away last year. So the work was done based on permission, and I can't finish it. He did a stop work order, and he says, no, obviously, we can't let you irrigate the circle, and he made a mistake, just like Jim Reedy did with the excavator that left in the meadows years ago. I don't know if you know about that.
We do.
So, mistakes cost money. And I'm not looking to gain anything. I just want to get reimbursed for something that, I wasn't supposed to do. But I was told I was allowed to do it.
Right. If I recall, when we asked Phil about that, he said that you were removing them at your own expense because you had the contractor right there and you were just gonna dig them right out. And, so we thought there was no cost or no charge on that.
Well, what about the irrigation? I wouldn't have taken the bushes out and irrigated. What started this whole thing is my wife used to laugh at me because I had an irrigation system, and she used to laugh at me dragging 250 feet of hose across the road. And I had concerns about even kids on a bicycle going over the hose, And I said, when I was building the house, I said, maybe the town will let me irrigate it. And the cost of taking the bushes out wasn't the big factor. It was cutting the road. And Phil came out there, looked at it, and he says, yeah, you're gonna beautify the circle and stuff, and, why not? He says the bushes are obviously too high, it blocks the view. And, you know, having the holes across the road is not a great idea either, you know? And he says, you're gonna continue to take care of the circle? I said, yeah. And there's a sheet in there, which, you know, I estimated over the last 11 years what I spent. I'm not looking for, you know, any reimbursement on that, okay? But cutting the road, and, you know, I didn't exactly, you know, Phil chose a spot. The circle's a mess anyway, there's cracks everywhere. You can stick your 2 fingers in the blacktop. And he chose one crack, and he says, you know, go on either side this crack, and he says, just make sure you go dig safe, and which we did. And, you know, Richie and Walter did a fantastic job on it. There's no bump or nothing. You know, they did 2 coats of blacktop, put a conduit in, you know, and I wouldn't have spent the money at all. I mean, if he said, no, you can't do it, it would have ended right there, you know? And at 60, going on 64 years old, you know, it's kind of like, do I really want to drag a hose across the road? And if you don't irrigate it, it dies. If you go look at it, it is absolutely ugly, okay? And it's, you know, I guess the town's supposed to mow it every 2 weeks now, and
It's on the site, it's on the schedule.
yeah, it's on the schedule, yeah. But it's not irrigated, it's not fertilized, it's all weed, basically. It's all weeding up, that's all it is. And it's, a lot of it's burnt up, and it's really sad that all my labor for 11 years just got tossed because of, you know, someone didn't know their bounds, you know. So, you know, just like Reedy did, you know, he left the machine in the meadows. And
I guess a lot of people are in your same situation. I mean, right along Main Street, everybody takes care of their town property right along Main Street too. So, I mean, you're not the only one in that situation.
Yeah, but, you know, permission was given to me, I spent the money. And it's kind of a waste of my time. Why did I do it for? You know? And, you know, it's kind of like giving me a building permit, and I put a foundation in, okay, and then they go, well, you know, you can't have it, you can't do it, you know? It's a cost that, you know, I incurred. And, you know, I went through channels, and, you know, he basically, you know, he made a mistake, and mistakes cost money, you know?
Well, let's clarify who made what mistake, if any.
Phil.
Phil, Director of DPW, made no mistake when he gave you permission to remove the shrubs.
And put the irrigation in.
At your expense.
But he's not letting me do it.
He allowed you to do that, correct?
Yeah, but he's not letting me do it. He put a stop work order on it. I asked him, can I do it? He says, obviously not. I guess I'm, you know, I guess you can't do it. That's exactly what he said to me. So,
Well,
why would I put pipe?
Well, let's parse it first. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to argue with you, but
Yeah.
trying to understand the fact. One, it is a town common area.
Right,
He's responsible for it.
yeah,
To whatever limited extent we'll actually take care of it. He gave you permission to remove the shrubbery.
yeah.
Valid reason, safety issue was of concern. I understand other neighbors don't, or have some issue with that, noted, but that's Phil's decision to make, and he made it, and his best call was for you to take them down. You did. You asked for permission at your expense to put in the connection to your meter, through your meter, to water the
Yeah.
thing. It was within his purview to give that permission.
Yeah.
That's not something beyond his permission, or beyond his purview. Now, I don't know this last part about,
There's a
I
stop
don't,
work
under-
order.
I don't understand that part, why he would even say that. I mean,
Well, I don't
you're
know.
one of the neighbors of that circle. We're looking for neighbors, as they do in other areas, and like Ed pointed out, all along Main Street, both sides, for example, to take care of the town areas, because the town doesn't take care of all these. We're not
Like I did
resourced.
for 11 years. And I'm not here to collect 11 years of taking care of it, okay? I donated my time the fertilizer, the seed, I reseeded
Yeah.
it 3 times.
I understand
I
that.
trimmed the bushes, but it got to a point where I had to use a chainsaw because they were so big. And, putting the conduit across the road was
Yeah.
the significant cost.
So the only issue now is allowing, the question is there any reason why DPW could not allow John to go ahead and water the?
You have to ask him, he told me I can't.
I don't have a problem with it
Yeah,
now.
well,
I mean,
it's on his meter.
if I.
It's just like him pulling out
He told
his
me-
hose.
He told me I couldn't do it,
Okay, well,
and he's
Well,
not here, he's not
At
here.
the time, John, though, there was controversy between the neighborhood, okay? So he put a stop to everything, if you guys recall, when we first started this. That's when everything was stopped, so we get a handle of what's going on there. And it may be fine with him now. I haven't checked with him, but, I mean,
So now that everything's all burnt up and in disrepair, you want me to start over again and?
I'm not telling you to start over again, no.
You know?
I'm just
I mean,
saying,
he should have checked. He told me I can't do it, period. You cannot irrigate it. So it's town property. That's exactly what he said.
well, that'd be just like telling
So-
everybody on Main Street they can't irrigate their lawn out front.
Oh,
Brian
I
can't-
I
can't
tend to agree with Ed as to the reasoning, which was the other comments that were, that Phil was getting from other people in that neighborhood. So I'm sure, and I'm not here to speak for him, my guess is that it was, okay, let's just, time out, let's
Exactly, yeah.
let's put the brakes on everything for a second till we sort through the different comments and conversations that are being brought before the select board. And I'm not speaking for him, but that would be my recollection as of some of the discussions we've already had about the situation.
And the way the Board of Selectmen reacted to that was that we supported Phil because it was an issue, a danger to the neighborhood, so we
as you,
agreed that they should be pulled out, and we would have done that if we had seen that in that situation, okay? And that the neighborhood talked about planting flowers. We will not plant flowers, we will not do anything but mow the grass there. That's all we'll do. And just like we do in other parts of the community, okay, on the other commons that we do. Other than that, we're not taking care of the trees. Well, we do take care of the trees. I think there's 4 of them there, or 3 of them. Okay, so we would trim them, have them trimmed back if they were,
They don't have to be trimmed.
okay.
They're far enough off
But
the road.
we're not into planting shrubbery, we're not into planting flowers. That's not our job, and that's not the town crew's job. Okay, we suggested that if the neighborhood wanted to get together and do that, check with Phil, and that Phil, would
I
certainly.
don't care about planting the flowers. My excavator seeded it when he took out, he seeded it, the grass grew, but it's weed, basically, because that hasn't been taken care of. And, my concern is, I have a conduit under the road.
yeah.
And, taking the bushes out were nothing. I mean, it didn't take them very long, okay? And, the majority of the work was cutting the road and putting the pipe in, compacting it, going to get a load of base coat, and then going to get another load of top coat and paving it so that, it conforms to the existing road. And the patch is probably better than the road right now, So why would I put a conduit in? He gave me permission to put the conduit in, to put an irrigation system in, and then said, no, I can't do it. So therefore, he mistakenly gave me permission. I spent the money, and I'm looking to get reimbursed. It's as simple as that,
Well,
The way he
Again,
explained it was there was no cost to the town, that you were putting it in on your own.
But I can't do it.
Okay.
Why would I do it?
Well, that was my point. The question now is, why can't you do it?
Well, ask him. He told
well,
me I can't.
We will. I would
Let's take
move-
this under
I would move to
advisement.
table the item right now, and we'll confer with Director DPW to understand why why at this point we would deny permission to you to use the conduit that you installed and is on your meter. It's no different than you bringing out your hose.
Yeah, it's just a lot easier. But believe me, if I knew it was gonna be this much of a hassle and a problem,
You probably wouldn't have done
No.
anything
No,
else. I
of
understand
course
that.
no. My wife motivated me,
I understand.
and she says, John, she says, you at least ask permission to do it. You know, they're not gonna give me permission to cut the road and stuff, and when I was framing the house that I'm living in now, I was on a ladder in the bay window, and, you know, I saw the truck coming around, I believe it was Michael Mendick's son, on a bicycle, heading the opposite way on the inside of the circle, and, you know, the truck swerved, and that kind of prompted me more than anything else. And I said, you know, many times, they were so high, and they were sticking out, basically, into the trees, that when I went, you know, when I mowed, a couple times I got poison ivy on my arms. And in fact, Kelly Tobin told me that her son was playing in there, and she had to take him to the emergency room for cortisone shots. And I said, well, we'll just take the bushes out, you know? And
Okay, John, what we're gonna do is we'll take it under advisement, and motion been made to take it under advisement.
Yeah, second.
Second.
Yeah.
And then we're into discussion now. We'll check with Phil and see what's going on, why he can't, and we'll get back to you in writing.
all right,
Okay?
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks
All
for
right.
coming in.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks, John.
And you're right, boring.
You right, what?
Never mind.
Yeah. I think I caught the gist of that.
Is there any other
Agreed.
business, any unanticipated business? There's nothing that I unanticipate. We took care of the new business. Motion to adjourn?
Motion
Nick?
to adjourn?
Gosh, it's
Second?
too early.
I'll second it.
Got a boy in.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.